Watch out for Tampa, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Baker threw 3 picks, and they scored 51 points.
So the Buccaneers just took on the Saints in a weird week after all the hurricane stuff in Tampa Bay. Prayers to everyone involved. But the Bucs went into New Orleans and straight up handled business in what was an emotional roller coaster of a game. Before the season, I really didn't see much talk about the Buccaneers being a good team. I heard some people say they could win the division, but nothing really outside of that. And that's just because everything has been stacked up against Baker his whole career. Even as a Browns fan, I can admit that. Nobody thought he could succeed. Everyone thought his career was over, but he plays with the ultimate chip on his shoulder and is always out there to prove everyone wrong. But it hasn't just been him. The entire offense is clicking on all cylinders, and I want to talk about it. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so this game really was a tale of 2 halves. I mean, the Bucs went into halftime down by 3, but just completely dominated the second half. The defense stood tall to begin the second half, and on the second drive inside their own 10, Sean Tucker made some plays to give them some breathing room, Baker had a scramble, and the Bucs methodically marched down the field. And under pressure, Baker dumped the ball off to Godwin, who broke free. He entered a different realm, forcing 3 missed tackles and was off to the races for a 55-yard touchdown. And that was the moment that completely flipped the momentum and calmed Baker down, which led to him locking in later on. This team has really shown us that they can rally and respond, and later on in the season, what they did yesterday may be a huge spark. If things start off rough in a big game, they know they have the talent and will to push through and overcome anything. Baker has been great this season. Really, so far this whole season, he has only had 1 quarter of bad football. This offense can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. The running game was particularly impressive, with Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving all contributing significantly. Tucker stood out with 14 carries for 136 yards and a touchdown, plus 56 receiving yards and another score. Bucky added 81 rushing yards and a touchdown of his own. In terms of the receiving numbers, Godwin had 125 yards with 2 touchdowns, Tucker had 56 yards, Miller had 39, Evans had 34, and there were quite a few other guys down the line that had above 20. So basically, the moral of the story is that everyone contributed, and that's gonna happen when you score over 50. I think the thing the Bucs proved in this game is that they are built for shootouts. The defense can step up in certain situations, but against teams like the Chiefs, the Ravens, those guys, I'm not worried about this team being able to keep up with them points-wise. I really think, like the Falcons game could have been, this could be a game that has a domino effect for the rest of the season. Allowing 20 straight points after going up 17-0 could have really brought the team down, but that didn't happen. We saw a team that got behind and rallied behind their quarterback, a team that didn't allow any points in the second half. One big moment defensively in this game was the Zion pick. It was huge, gave the team a huge spark. Another thing to me that was a big moment was when Baker scrambled and came up just short and went to the blue tent. So the Bucs punted, and then later, Bucky Irving had a big 31-yard run. And guess who it was running all the way upfield to make a big block? It was Baker. That just shows his heart right there. And when other players on the team see a QB doing that, it gives them yet another reason to go all out for this team. But Baker does need to be careful because I am a Browns fan and I watched him get injured doing stuff like that. And it set his career back 2 seasons. I think Baker has the potential to do something special, and I would hate to see him ruin it doing something stupid. But at the end of the day, that is just the type of guy he is. He's always going to go out there and fight and give his heart out for the guys around him. Switching over to the defense, they were lights out in the second half. The Bucs got to Rattler 5 times, bringing their total to 15 sacks in the last 5 games. Switching over to the defense, they were lights out in the second half. The Bucs got to Rattler 5 times, bringing their total sacks to 15 over the last 5 games. A secondary that had its struggles in this game picked off the rookie quarterback twice in the second half. Tampa Bay also made an effort to wipe away Alvin Kamara from the Saints' attack. The star running back did score a touchdown, but his 64 yards of total offense proved rather pedestrian for his standards, especially when running the ball. And greatest of all, the 2 key returners made a significant impact. Elijah Cansey wreaked havoc in the backfield and picked up a sack in his season debut, while Antoine Winfield returned a fumble for a touchdown on a tone-setting play. A week removed from a lackluster performance against an NFC South opponent on the road, the Bucs defense faced a similar trial and looked like a completely transformed unit in many respects. The crazy thing to me is we are now 6 weeks in, and this team is just starting to establish its identity. Right now, it's just resiliency, Coach Todd Bowles said Monday. Us coming back and forming toughness in the second half and learning off our mistakes, Bowles continued. If we can eliminate the penalties and eliminate shooting ourselves in the foot, which we are cutting down more and more, I think we have a chance to be a very good team. The offense has put up 30 or more points 4 times this season after having difficulty getting into the end zone much of the past 2 years. I think we have a chance to be a very good team. The offense has put up 30 or more points 4 times this season after having difficulty getting into the end zone much of the past 2 years. The defense has been one of the NFL's stingiest since Bowles joined the Bucs as defensive coordinator in 2019. However, it hasn't been nearly as reliable through 6 games this year. But part of that can be attributed to injuries. And if Sunday's lopsided win over New Orleans is any indication, that trend figures to turn for the better with All-Pro safety Antoine Winfield Jr. and second-year defensive lineman Elijah Cansey back in the lineup. Winfield, sidelined 4 games after being injured in the closing minutes of the season opener, picked up a fumble and returned at 58 yards on the Saints' first possession. Cansey started Sunday after being inactive the first 5 games and finished with 2 tackles, both for losses, as well as a sack and a quarterback hit. With Wynn and Cansey back, the defense definitely felt it. You felt Cansey up front, you felt Winfield in the back end, Bowles said. You felt the confidence that they rose to a different level, especially in the second half. Here is what some of the key players had to say in their post-game interviews.
What was the key to bouncing back from that?
I think just what this team embodies, what we talked about of handling one thing at a time this week, among many other things. And there's going to be a lot of distractions, a lot of ups and downs, and you just got to handle it the right way. And that's how our team handled that second quarter. Obviously not doing the defense any favors by giving them short fields multiple times in a row and holding them to a couple field goals. But just for us to come in at halftime and say, if we just handle our business, we're going to be just all right, and that's what we did. And that's the type of culture we've built through and through, and just a resilient group.
What did this game mean? I mean, every game's important. You want to win them all, obviously, but with what you've been through and what people in Tampa Bay are going through, and you got to go back to, what does this mean to you guys?
I think it means a lot. Like at the end of the day, right, it's a game, and there's a lot of real life happening back home. So I think if we're able to just give some people a bit of a reprieve from the things that they're facing right now, I think like that's a plus for us, right? Because there's a lot of people going through a lot of bad stuff right now, unfortunately, and we don't really know like what we're going back to. So that's it's really sad. But I'm glad that we were able to come in and lead with a victory against a divisional, rival in a tough environment.
That's really all I got to say for this one. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point. And if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.